first image, and that's gonna be this one right here, which is the most recent sigil I've done, and this one is more for like promoting health and like well-being and growth. So I kind of used certain colors I connect with, but I also use like, you can see there's some green in there. This sigil right here is like meant to represent a candle, so like candles usually give me the thought of like warm, loving like feelings, or like just warmth in general. And I kind of just incorporated that with the color green, and it's like springtime representative, and also like talking about like that warmth that's growing, and out of that warmth there's that green springtime plant life and tree life, even though for some reason out here my oak trees have been turning pinkish on the new leaves, which is quite weird, but whatever. But I also use the black in there because it's like, for me, that color means protection, and like self, like shadow working kind of, for me. So it's like more representative of protecting myself, but also like learning about myself through that growth. So depending on how you want to make your sigil in the first place, you might want to base it off numbers or letters. Some people choose to take their name and reverse it, or make it into a different rearrangement in the sigil and like connect those letters to each other. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be the whole name connected, but some people just do their initials. So here, this I can share. This is one of the things you could use, like to utilize, like to practice if you don't have like a graphic, like a graphic designer's like tablet or anything. You could go on to Paint 3D on your Windows 10, or if you have different Windows, probably could just use Paint and whatever. But you want to start a new one, and then you can just click whatever colors you want to choose. You can add your own colors and like experiment, see what you feel connected to or what color you want to use. And for me, draw a sigil for my backwards initials basically. So like you could draw like a sigil for your initials here, and you could keep it short, or you could write out like your whole name. Write out all that and then reverse it. But yeah, if you want to do a sigil like drawing and just practice, I would definitely recommend looking into Paint 3D on Windows 10 and just click a new one, and then you can go to your menu thing and you could probably save it right here. You can print it too. If you have a printer, so you can print out your own little sigils if you are good at drawing in 3D Paint too. That's another option. So that way you could actually physically have your sigil and use it, rather than have it electronically on here. Or if you want to hand draw it and just copy it from what you drew on here, that's also works. So, depending on what type of sigil you want to do though, sometimes what certain people will do is draw objects. So, like the last sigil, the first one I showed you, draw a candle. Nope. I'm not good at using this. I need to practice. Yeah, candle. But yeah, you could draw a candle and a flame, and then if you wanted to, you could like make scratches in the candle, like how I had it like that in that other one before. But underneath you could write, so I could write my like backwards initials in here. So you could write like your backwards initials in there and then scribble it in. So if you want to keep it hidden and only have it known to yourself, that way it's more secretive and people can't like snoop on what you're trying to make. But that's another example. If you want to just do a whole art piece and have it based on a certain intent, you could do that as well. Make it so that's more connected to you, like have a picture of something you like and something that represents or has some sort of symbology to you. So if you're like wanting to represent nature for something and you just want to connect yourself to nature, you could just get this green color, draw a little leaf here and just focus on your intent. I know this is not a good leaf, but I'm trying. But yeah, you can make a little like leaf and try to just color it in and make it connected to you. No, that leaf is so bad. But it doesn't even have to be a good one. If it's just sloppy and messy and that's how you draw, that's connected to you. You don't have to be a perfectionist, especially since we're going to get into talking about how to activate these or how to charge them. I think we've gone over enough little examples of the drawing part and the how to craft it part, but we haven't really gone over the part yet about charging it. So, yeah, there we go, shut down. So, another sigil I've done is down in the chat, and I have one of the processes of charging it or activating it involved with this sigil. So this is, if you cannot use fire, there's other ways you can do this, but this is one that I did back a year ago with my mother. We drew a picture together and this little sigil together. So here's one that I've done. And I ended up burning it in a candle that I was gifted for the holidays from her. So it was very much connected to, me and my mom for springtime growth. And you could see I burned it and then put it in my little cauldron. Or if you don't have a cauldron, you can get a fireproof, heat-proof bowl, and that works pretty good. And if you really need to, you can just pour water in there if you can't have a fire. If you cannot have a fire, just soak the paper in water and let it dissolve, and then maybe rip it up and dispose of it. Or you can just rip it up in general. If you want to soak it in moon water though, that's more like charging it than putting more energy into it. For promoting things rather than ripping it up, which would be more kind of like a banishing act. That seems when you rip it up, it's more I would imagine it would be more for a quick, fast intent thing. But it depends on you and depends on what you connect to the most. And you could also just charge it in the moonlight in general and not any water. And in one of the videos I posted for charging moon water, I actually talk about how you can use your sigil that you make and put it under your moon water, bottle, and while that charges, it charges both of those things. And in turn, that sigil is also getting its energy and its intent into that bottle because the light is basically shining on that, charging both. You could kiss it definitely because like if you're especially getting your saliva on it, it's connecting it to you. So it's like putting your own, kind of sweat, blood in there. Basically, it's like same with bodily fluids. Like I know this might get a little bit, rated R there, but
Weird.
there are things like urine and body fluids that can be used. I would say if you do not want to go into using like, you know, those bodily fluids, I guess the best you could do is use your spit. That's one way you could do it to connect it to yourself.
One thing that I did was use my spit and trace over the lines that I created.
Yeah, blood is common, but I don't really condone, you know, doing things to yourself.
Yeah.
If you actually like have an accident and it's like, oh well, there's blood out here. All right, then yeah, then you might as well use it. But blood, you gotta be careful with. That's powerful. So like depending on what you use, it might be more potent. I would say like urine and blood, but other things like spit I guess would work too, but that's a little bit more common. If you want to charge items, just depends on what you prefer, but you can use fire, you can use water, you can use smoke cleansings and like kind of smoke cleanse around the sigil. You can rip it up, just also depends on your intent. That is like the primary factor, is what your intent is and what you are wishing to achieve. Because if you go in there with a different mindset than what you want to achieve and what intents you have, you might have trouble with it. You want to make sure you're able to connect to it, for yourself. So, like, I would, like, I don't know if it would be the best idea to copy and paste someone else's sigil, but, like, unless you're, like, in a coven or a group, I guess that would be alright. But if you're just copying a sigil that someone made on the internet, then, you might not know the purpose or the intent behind it. Like, you could just use the sigil and then you figure out later that it's actually used to summon a demon and you're not prepared for that. Yeah, there's some sigils out there you want to be careful about. So definitely make sure that you know what you're researching when you use a sigil. And that I would honestly say I would prefer if people make their own sigils connected to their intent and what they want and what they connect to the most in their lives and their path. Alright, I think we're pretty good for this class though, because there's not much to like talk about with this class. I've pretty much gone over like everything besides like just disposing of your sigils. You might want to, you just throw it away in the garbage depending on how it is. Like you can bury it if it's paper, or if you wrote it on like a leaf. That's another thing. You can write it on like leaves and stuff or plant life and just have it be biodegradable so it naturally degrades into the ground and rots and is able to like give nutrition back to the earth.
I never thought about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like that's one of the ways that is very convenient if you don't have paper and you only have a pen or pencil.
I remember seeing it in another server that someone got a sigil from the internet, and it turned out to be a astral slaver to summon an astral slaver that would
Ooh,
harm people
yeah,
and
that ain't
want
good.
Yeah. So like, I'm a mod in that server, so I deleted it right away because that's dangerous.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely when you do sigils, you gotta make sure that you experiment with your own craft and your own intents. Just remember that, that's the number one thing. Intents. You don't need to be an artist.